guys, and welcome to my next weekly chat for The Walking Dead. So I have my notes ready and I am just going to get into it. So the first thing that I want to touch on is the whole Rick versus Daryl situation. I did like the callback with the choking's illegal, or chokehold's illegal. And, I like that they're still doing kind of, callbacks throughout this whole season. But I mean, the first question that I want to put out there to you guys, whose side are you on, Rick or Daryl's? I think from Daryl's perspective is he just kind of wants to really finish everything quick. He wants to get this over with. I think, Daryl, because of him being a prisoner and in the cell and everything like that, it's kind of, and him in a sense, feeling responsibility for Glenn, even though Maggie forgave him, I think there's still kind of a responsibility thing there, that I think it's really important for him to not only make sure that this war ends quick before more of their people die, but I think it's he just wants revenge in a sense. He wants payback. So I think that that's kind of a lot of where his mindset is. Whereas Rick, I believe with Rick, he's really trying to think of the big picture. I felt like Rick had a point, when he said, the workers aren't fighting at this moment. They're just workers. Let's not give them a reason to fight. Let's not blow up their families or friends or whatever. And then they're like, oh no, these guys are really the bad people. I think there is, when we see the first episode with Rick, where he's kind of even asking, Negan's lieutenant, so to speak, to sort of, they get a chance to sort of switch sides if they want to, and all of that. So I think that was kind of interesting to, see where they're both coming from with that. I'll get a little bit into that later. For me, I'm slightly more Team Rick than I am Team Daryl, but we'll see what happens. And I think that it was just really funny. Just quick note, because I just have a quick note here, that I thought the throwing of the explosives was absolutely ridiculous, though. Rick, I mean, if you're gonna throw the explosives away from Daryl, do it, the other direction with the not truck leaking gas. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so another note I have here, which is just like the briefest note ever. Like I just have Gregory, and the only thing that I have written here, I literally have like a note of Gregory, and it like next to it I say he's fucked. Gregory only cares about himself. His loyalties are to himself. And at this point, he is playing both sides, so to speak. Is he really, what do you guys think? Do you think that he is, going to try to be more team savior, or be, or just say whatever he can to survive the next moment or the next day, which I, don't think is going to last very long. What I will say about Gregory, though, is that I love the tie-in of focusing a bit with Gregory on the episodes that they are focusing as well with Gabriel. I love seeing that because, Gregory is a fairly decent example, though I think he's kind of a shittier person, just deep down, whereas Gabriel was kind of a coward when we first met him. But I think it's an interesting thing to kind of put those two together and sort of say, these are the two, I feel like Gregory is kind of a version of Gabriel's past self, and to see how far Gabriel has come, like we've already noticed it, but I think they're really kind of showing us like, yes, Gabriel has come far. So now I'm going to go into Gabriel and his purpose. As soon as I saw that first scene, I was like, oh no. Do like a flashbacky scene where there's somebody's like, I need a purpose, and I'm like, you're dead, you're gonna die. And I know that there are some people who are thinking at the end of the episode that Gabriel is faking. I feel it's very difficult to fake. Like, he looked sickly, like, and the sweat and everything, you know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of hard to pull off. But if he's faking, give him an award, because it doesn't really look like he's faking. I love that, he kind of said that he doesn't fear death anymore. He just doesn't want a fruitless death, which that really brought me back to Herschel's speech in season 4, when he kind of said, we're all going to die. It is kind of the world we live in, everything, you risk your life, and it's, what matters is what you're risking it for. At this point, I think a lot of the characters have kind of accepted death as something that is a very real possibility. And especially in, Rick's group and the side of Alexandria Hilltop and the Kingdom, which is why I always said, that is quite possibly going to be the downfall. And they said that at the end of last season, where Rick was just like, you can take my hands, you can do whatever, like, we don't care anymore. You've already done so much. And I think that that's kind of the thing that Negans ruled, in a sense, because these people fear death and he protects them. Well, what happens when there's kind of a big rebellion happening, or whatever you want to call it, of people that really don't care if they die? They only care that they do the right thing and take you out of power. It's a scary situation, I think, for him. But just a note, loved the line where he says, I think I'm here to take your confession, and that kind of creepy smile that he had. I mean, Gabriel won me over all over again with that. I can't even believe, by the way, that I would be talking so fondly of Gabriel if you asked me like a few years ago. It's so funny. I liked that bringing up the wives, that it seemed to strike a nerve, but I definitely think that, Gabriel should have just shot him as soon as he got out, if he could. I liked that, Gabriel said, you are forgiven, and Negan just punched him in the face. I thought that was kind of really funny. But now I'm going to kind of go into Negan's story. I noticed that some people are feeling, they're like, oh, I felt really bad for Negan when he told his story. I felt like an exact percent of 0% sympathy for Negan. I didn't know that, like, some people were like, oh, I feel so bad. I don't give a I'm sorry. Does that make me cold-hearted? No, I don't think so. You can let me know. Am I cold-hearted? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about your story. I mean, the thing is he didn't really he wasn't coming up and like trying to get any sympathy with the story. But still, like, you don't get any, no matter what. So I like that they kind of went into a little bit, though, of Negan's kind of philosophy. You kill one and you save hundreds more, because people fall in line, and people sort of do, and there's a system that works, and somebody's got to lead everybody. And I absolutely loved when he started saying people are a resource. And he was getting really pissed off with the idea of using his own people to, basically kind of save all of their own asses. I like that that's like a big difference between him and the governor, seeing as the governor like went and shot all of his own people. Governor didn't care. But Negan knows that his power lies in the fact that he promises safety. If he doesn't promise safety anymore, which is why I loved, the scene where the workers came up. I loved that. I love that we're seeing this, what if they don't feel safe? And I think that's what Rick is kind of hoping to play on eventually. Once they don't feel safe, once Negan cannot guarantee safety, in the episode where Daryl meets Dwight and Dwight kind of says, some people, but I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact quote, but where like some people would rather kneel than, and be safe than, not. And that's kind of the difference. But if you take away them feeling safe, them, that's going to be a problem, and Negan's going to have a problem on his own hands. He knows that though, so that's the good thing on his side, is he does recognize, not only is, that he says, people are a resource, people work for him, people get stuff done, we can't just be discarding people like that, but also I do believe that, he's got strength in numbers, and he knows that. So I liked that he said, "Are we backsliding, Simon?" And what I did was let me see if I still have it. I took yeah. Okay, so I looked up the definition of backsliding, just like word for word, and it says backsliding, also known as falling away, is a term used with Christianity to describe a process by which an individual who has converted to Christianity reverts to pre-conversion habits and or lapses or falls into sin when a person turns from God to pursue their own desire. I liked that, given all of this kind of talk about confessions and all of that stuff, that they actually used a term that seems to be very used for Christianity. And, whereas, Gabriel is all about faith in God, I think, there's, Negan likes his people to feel, faith in Negan. So I thought that was interesting. I gotta say, I do like seeing Negan frustrated. And I will say that when he kind of had his, moment at the table where he was talking to Gabriel and everyone, and it was not very pleasant, was actually the first time I've been scared or felt any sort of uncomfortable feeling towards Negan himself, not just by his power. I've never been that intimidated by Negan himself, just like his overwhelming numbers. Does that make sense? Like, he doesn't really scare me too much. But that was kind of the first moment that I really felt like a genuine, like, chill, like, oh shit, this guy's not fucking around. You know what I mean? Looking at my notes, sorry. I think, yeah, I mean, I loved hearing the gunshots behind Negan because he's really talking about like how they're going to win and stuff like that. And then, Rick comes ringing the doorbell. That was really, really kind of fun to see from that perspective. I really loved that. So a couple of questions, what do you guys think about, he told Gabriel that, he said like the last guy who was in charge, and stuff. Do you think we know who that person is? Do you think there's, a possibility that it's somebody we know? Or do we think Negan just killed him? I mean, possibly. That would be kind of interesting to see. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think Negan is saving people? And do you think it's better to be under the thumb of Negan and alive than, possibly fighting and dying for, maybe like a cause that is for freedom and, stuff like that on Rick's side? Let me know what you guys think about that. But other things that I just want to touch on, I really love the dynamic of the other big saviors in that room. I loved it. This episode was really, really great to me because of that. I like that, these kind of head honchos of the Saviors are, and how they deal without Negan, who is really second in command. And, I think it's interesting. I think Regina might not make it much longer, just my opinion. I feel like she shot people and Negan does not take very kindly to that, so ow. I kind of like Gavin, weirdly. He's even in the episodes of the previous season, he kind of seemed to be fairly sensible, even though he wasn't like the most like I don't think he's a good guy, but I definitely think that I like that he was the one who was focusing on the fact, and he said, "No, we have a spy. Like this is too much of a coincidence." Like what I kind of like him. But if it's him or anybody from Alexandria, like bye, see you later. But I like that we kind of see Simon and Dwight kind of butting heads, and I think that might actually come to fruition a bit later in the season, and we're going to see more, especially if it comes out that Dwight is, that's going to be interesting. And yeah, the only other notes that I really have about all of that stuff is kind of the stuff about the workers and what I kind of already touched on, where it's like the workers, I feel like kind of, they if they don't feel safe, then there's going to be problems. But it seems like Negan is back and going to try to put things in order. But yeah, I think it's going to be really kind of interesting to see how Negan handles this, because there might be ongoing issues with the people. But if he's able to convince them I really think that Negan is banking on getting either Ezekiel, Maggie, or Rick, and killing them very publicly, and that will send the message of like, this is what happens to you if you defy me, you know what I mean? So I think that's going to be interesting. I hope he doesn't get his hands on any of them, but you know what I mean. Okay, so now I'm going to end this sort of thing on Eugene and Dwight. I love watching Eugene this season. I don't know if that's popular opinion. I don't really care. I love watching Eugene this season and seeing where he's going to kind of go. So that's kind of the big question I'm going to be asking you guys is, what do you guys think about Eugene? What do you think he's going to do now? I'm almost 100% positive that he knows it's Dwight, given the paint that he saw and just, his stare downs and stuff and just everything. I'm almost positive that he knows it's Dwight. I am interested to see, and let me know what you guys think, if he's going to help Gabriel. Like, do you guys think that Gabriel kind of said that he has a purpose, and I would love nothing more for Gabriel, Eugene, and Dwight to like get shit done within the Saviors camp. I would love seeing that. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but I think that would be kind of, it's just the ideal scenario for me. But do you think he's going to out Dwight, given Negan's whatever? Do you think that he's been, I don't know, like, is he going to help Gabriel get Maggie the doctor? I think it's going to be really interesting going forward, and I just can't wait. And last, I do have one more note, sorry, and that is Rick in the next episode seems to be going to talk to the crazy ass trash people, my favorite. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? But yeah, that is about it for my weekly chat for The Walking Dead. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.